it going. So, 15 minutes to give you inspiration and advice and everything you need to totally transform your life. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So what I thought, instead of trying to be transformational, inspirational, I'd talk about llama farming, okay? So if anyone's got an interest in llama farming, now is your opportunity. So the interesting thing about llamas, okay, you mustn't get them confused with alpaca, okay? Because there's a big difference. I mean, it's the difference between... Everyone's looking at me like, this is what he's honestly going to be talking about. So listen, now I'm going to try and encapsulate 50 years of messing it up and how not to get where I got, okay? In lots of ways, I've made mistakes, but I've learned from them, and I've gone on to, I think, probably as said at the start, one of my biggest challenges ever. The route to get there, when you look back, though, is really quite extraordinary. I look back at those pivotal moments in my life, which at the time, I didn't have a clue how important they were. But they turned out to be a crossroads. They turned out to be a line in my life, in the sand of my life. And I'm happy when you look back at them and you go, that was all meant to be. So I am a great believer in fate, but I'm also a great believer in grabbing the opportunities that life presents you. And I think there's times when, like most people, I've been scared. There's times when I've been just wondering whether I've got it in me to do whatever the opportunities that are being presented to me are. But I've actually figured out some things along the way that I'd like to share with you. And the title of the talk is Finding Your Why and Doing It Now. But as a special bonus, I've decided to include 3 extra words at no cost. So this morning, you are going to get transform your life in 9 words. Okay? Who fancies that?
Yeah.
Everyone up for that? Give me a yes. 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 Transform your life in 9 words. Let's start with the first 3. And the first 3 are find your why. Okay? We spend all our life, I think, worrying about the how, the what if, the is, the words that just get in the way and that we think are pivotal. How much? How long? Can I? But if you just focus on your why, everything else will follow. Because if your why is strong enough, you could do anything. And everything else that you're worried about will follow. So if you have it in you, intrinsically, to know about that why, then you are set. And everything else that we normally worry about, it doesn't matter. The how, the what if, can I afford it? It doesn't matter, because everybody else will buy into your why. If your why is strong enough, everybody else will go, oh my gosh, I want a part of that. I'm going to help him. You know, I'll come on to talk about a project at the end, which I couldn't possibly feasibly do. It's impossible what I'm taking on. But you know what? People are seeing my why and they're stepping forward because they believe in what I'm doing. They bought my why. If you emanate that, then all these other things will come easy to you. I'd like to share a little experience okay. A few years ago, you'll all be aware that the Ukraine war started. And like most people, I was devastated. I felt a very small piece in the world. What could I do? You know, sitting, watching the news, hearing the stories, seeing the television reports. And like a lot of people, I just felt powerless. So, as with all these things, if you try and look at the bigger picture, you're not going to get anywhere. If you focus on a little bit, something you can do to change, maybe you'll make a difference. So I went along to my local department store, my local, sells everything store. And I thought, I'm going to buy some Calpol, okay? That little liquid just for children. I thought, I'm going to get that somehow out to Ukraine. to the children who were suffering on these, wherever they were at that time. So I went into my local store and I said, and I put into my basket about 30 bottles of Calpol. And I got to the checkout and they said, you can't buy more than 2. Well, how much Calpol do you have to drink to cause yourself a problem? But I said, this is going to Ukraine. This is going to help kids who are in refugee camps in Ukraine. You can't stop me. And they said, well, I'm sorry, we can't do more than 2. So I was really upset, but people around me heard what was going on, okay? And I'll tell you, the people in the queue behind me, they said, don't worry. And each of them, one and all, took 2 bottles. The 15 people all behind, they all took 2 bottles. And they all went through. And at the end of it, I walked out the store with my 30 bottles of Calpol. And I got out into the car park, and I was so upset. I'm so moved by what had happened. I just did a little video on my Twitter, and it ended up getting, hundreds of thousands of views. And I was just saying, what is going on in this world, and what can we do to help? And I was then contacted by an organisation called From Bournemouth to Ukraine, help from Bournemouth to Ukraine, and they said, can you help us? What do you mean? Well, we need to get stuff down to the Ukraine Polish border and on into to help the people in Ukraine. So I don't know, what can I do? I said, well, I've got a van. So 2 days later, after my Calpol experience, I was loading up my van with supplies, and I set off on the 3-day journey down to the Ukraine border, to Mariupol, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And like most people, I'm entering a war zone, okay? And there's that fear. You go, I can't do this, but I go to my van, I've got a bigger picture. I've got a why. I'm doing it to help those kids. I'm doing it to help all those people in Ukraine. I had my why. So would I be able to drive there? Would I find my way? Would the petrol run out? Would the carburetor? No matter. We deal with it. Whatever happened, we deal with it. And sure enough, we got to Ukraine. And this picture is a little girl in a refugee camp with a teddy bear that I took down for her. And this is a picture that was sent to me by a couple of doctors in Kiev in the hospital. This is the equipment I took down in my van. It's my why. And look what happens if you've got a strong enough why. So find your why. It's all that matters. Find your why. But the next most important thing is actioning that. Like I said at the start, when you're given that pathway, you're given that crossroads, what do you do with that information you've got? And the second 3 words are do it now. Do it now. Whatever it is, that piece of paper, that bill, that person you don't want to make the phone call to, the longer you leave it, the more it sits in here and it doesn't go away. So just do it now. And I was told this by a man I met while I was working in hospital radio. I worked on a hospital radio programme. I used to go around the wards with my tape recorder. And I talked to people. And he was on the cancer ward. And he said, I'm going to tell you 3 words. Do it now. Do it now. Because you never know what life has in store. And that was certainly the case for me. Because 3 weeks after I took my van down to Ukraine, I was in hospital. Here's a picture of my x-ray of my body and my lung cavity on the left 3 years ago, or 3 years before what happened. On the right, you can see the white blob. That's actually my heart. It swelled to 4 times its size. I've got something called a pericardial effusion. Years ago, you would have died. That's it. What happens is the heart sac swells and it crushes your heart. When I went to hospital, eventually I had 3 hours to live. Makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you think. Makes you think that we all live by this, okay? These are the sands of time, and hopefully we've got lots left. But it's not a given. It's not a given. So you've got to do it now. So what have I done? I've taken that passion And I've taken that, well, I've absolutely not taken the advice of my doctors, which is to slow down and take it easy. So I've taken on a project which is the biggest of my life, and it is a pub at the top of the Rhondda Valley. It's in one of the most deprived areas in Europe. The pub closed at the start of lockdown. The community lost its heart, and I'm rebuilding it for the community. Not only that, I'm using local kids aged 15 to 17 who are disengaged from school. They've been told by the schools that they're rubbish, and we get them into the school, into the pub, and we give them a chance to learn skills from the construction people. So they learn how to plaster, they learn how to decorate, they learn how to do carpentry, they learn how to do electrics. And their lives are being revolutionised. Those group of people from the left, guy who had a stutter, never left the house, his mum called me up and said, "What's happened?" He's just cycled to his granddad's grave to tell his granddad about what he's doing at the Hendrew Inn. Because he used to go to his granddad's shed and do DIY with his granddad. The second guy in there is joining the army. The third guy's come off drugs. This is what you can do if your why is strong enough. And this is what you can do if you do it now. Take these opportunities. This is by far the biggest challenge of my life. It's costing a fortune. I have no support. I'm trying to do as much of this on my own. But you know what? I put it out there and I go, hey, universe, people, help. And people go, sure. What's your why? Oh, I see. Of course we'll help. So the community's getting together. People are helping me left, right and centre. But don't underestimate the challenge. It's huge. At times I'm lost. And I remember this very famous story, which somebody once told me, about what's the secret to getting it done? What's the secret? What's the trick to actually being successful? And they're reminded of a story of some visitors to one of the stately homes in Britain. And they're looking out at the acres of grass, the beautifully mown, perfect grass. And they say to the head groundsman, what's the trick? What's the trick to what you've achieved here? And the head groundsman said, it's easy. You just throw down some grass seed and you roll it and mow it for 300 years. Sometimes it's all about just doing it and carrying on and carrying on. And just to finish, your final 3 words. How do we cope in all this? What's my life philosophy? What do I think encapsulates things? It's been finally sort of honed after all these years. And actually, I think there was a famous psychologist who's written books about man management, about people relationships, about being successful in business, and he's come to the same conclusion. It's this. Be more dog. Be more dog. Live in the moment. The dog, the man. Money, work, relationships, health, career. The dog is in the moment. Making the most of the moment. So, your 9 words to transform your life. Find your why. Do it now. And be more dog. Thank you very much.